Hi everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344 again. Today is July 14th, 2018, and I have some very important messages this morning I wanted to get out. This morning, when doing some cards, the throat chakra issues came up, and I wanted to dig into that to see what was causing the throat chakra to come up. And it led to a lot of messages for me. So I wanted to share them with you. It's very important for the unions coming in. I was initially shown a heart block, right? So I was literally shown a heart and then a rectangular block kind of on the upper side of the heart behind it. And they were all gray. It was all gray. And then I watched it fade away to reveal what I was to understand. Okay, so then I was shown the Eye of Horus, and this was actually the right eye was shown to me first with the green light, so the emerald green light of the Divine Feminine. And this comes up for me a lot, not necessarily the Eye of Horus, but I just see the green eye with the wormhole, the pupils, the wormhole, with all the tributaries that come out of the iris into the hole, because the iris is direct light, and the pupil has direct light, and the iris has codes in it. So I see that a lot when I'm pulling up wounding information from the subconscious. So anyway, so I get the right eye with the green light. And then I'm shown the left eye, like eye drops being put in, with the magenta light. So the Divine Masculine magenta light being dropped into the left eye, which is the Divine Feminine. So it was like the energy of the psychic energy of the Divine Masculine being filtered through to the feminine to transmute and heal, and then the Divine Feminine sending that physically healing energy out in the emerald green. Okay. So again, for those of you who don't know, feminine side, the left side is energy in and the right side is energy out. Then I was shown like the bottom half of an eye, but it was very symmetrical this time as opposed to a right or a left eye. And it was like a bowl holding the blue, indigo to violet colors and kind of rotating to show me all of those colors. Very clear that this was representative of the third eye and the pineal gland. So the interchanging of the green, magenta, and violet in the eye was then shown to me, that the violet third eye is the third energy. And then I see the green and magenta, that they must come together to produce the violet. So I'm saying, okay, well that was, we know that, so how do we do that, right? So then I see a green and magenta swirl. So they're not mixed, they're totally separate, individual, like the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine in the physical, but attached. And then they're like, like it was just in color energy, but it would be like you were holding hands and swirling around a vortex. So it was actually the third eye vortex, or the violet chakra, okay? Which is a cone shape, right? Just like a vortex, or a hurricane or a tornado, which becomes the violet chakra, okay, swirling. So you see the magenta and green strands of light circling around this violet chakra, okay? And it was showing me that the pineal gland is being activated. And then after that, I had to go to the bathroom. So that is a purge, you guys. This was very important that the green and magenta were shown as together but separate, showing our independence. And the pineal gland was very important about healing of the pineal gland, because as some of you may not know, fluoride collects in the pineal gland and destroys it basically. So it would block your abilities to receive your your third eye, your psychic information. So I was being called for everyone, so you guys, to use your green light, so pull in green light through your crown to heal your pineal gland. So just wrap the green light around your pineal gland on a regular basis to heal it, and just visualize and intend to transmute complete healing of the pineal gland, to remove any blocks, any calcifications, anything that's negative energy around the pineal gland. So using the magenta and the green light. Then I went into some more information. I was also noticing that I kept curling up my right foot and not keeping it, when I'm doing my cards. My left foot's always flat on the ground, but my right foot, I would lean it on its side as opposed to keeping it flat on the ground, which was very telling, because then more information about the divine masculine side, the right side, would come up. And by the way, the energies that were coming up today were great. They were of good news. It's the 14th, which is the Temperance card. And then the day adds up to the 32, 5, which is actually the 6 of Wands. That's good news, success, getting attention, all that kind of stuff. But it's very good energy. But it was all very balanced, including the suits and the elements in my read. They were very balanced, and there was no swords, which was great. It was like 2, 2, 2, no swords, and then all the higher arcana. And I also noticed that there were 2 queens in the read this morning, the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, which is very representative of the divine feminine and the karmic energy. So 2s were coming up very much so. And it was funny because one of my commenters just brought up 2, 2, and 2. And it was showing, going into detail about how to balance you with your divine masculine. So how do we get to where we need to go finally? Because we are in the last stretches for a lot of us, okay? Then the codes he and ha came up, right? So at first I was feeling like maybe that's a sigh that we need to use in our meditations, like he and ha, and just allow them to come out, right? Then I was getting the Roman numeral V, which I use a lot in my drawings, as in the downloads that I get, because they're representative of the triangle, which is change, and the V, the Roman numeral V with the lines on it, shows a triangle with one side open, allowing constant change, which is co-creation. And also, it becomes the 2 V's together, is the M for Mary Magdalene, and N always being representative to me as half of Mary Magdalene or Jesus. Okay, so this was all coming together again this morning, and just showing the rotation of the energy from the magenta coming in, being transmuted, excuse me, through the third energy, or the pineal gland, or the violet, the red and the blue, coming through then to the green healing energy as an M, as in Mary Magdalene, which is also the Oversoul's Sophia energy. Okay, so then some codes I was receiving to work on came through. I was shown very much so that the wands and the swords work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, right? I was shown 3 wands and 3 swords in alignment, along with 2 lovers and 1 energy, which is the third energy. And so you see where this is all going into the same direction. And so now I have to explain to you what I've been going through the past couple of days, so you understand how this is all coming together. Let's see, not today. Today is Saturday. So not yesterday, but Thursday, my twin came through, my twin flame friend who channels him sometimes. He just comes through when he wants to. Trying to offer me coming into the 3D to let me see him, but not to interact with him, but just wave to him and have that be okay without responding or having emotion to it. And of course, she, as being the channel for us speaking, was feeling the angst of me and him coming up in asking me to do that, because I can't control how I emote. Of course I want to see him, and of course I'd be willing to wave if that's all I'm being offered, but you can't tell me that I can't have emotions about that and feelings about that. So then she urged us to come out with anger, and I wasn't feeling anger toward him at the time she was saying that, but we do this kind of mock thing to bring up issues. She was thinking that it would be helpful to bring up anger now between her, used as a channel, as opposed to in the 3D, so we could get it out at that point instead of in the 3D when we come together. So I tried to bring up some anger that I wasn't really feeling at that moment, because I don't really express in anger. I express more in sadness. And by the way, that's, the masculine energy is the anger and the feminine energy is the sadness. So then we did get a little, it wasn't like we were screaming, but we were getting into a little bit of confrontational energy. And of course, I ended up crying to him, and it ended fine. We definitely ended it in a good place in the channeling. But I did cry, and I wasn't expecting to cry that day because this was totally unexpected how it came up. And then after we got off the phone call, later that day, I ended up going into 2 really huge purges. And it was the anger coming up, and it wasn't anger that I hadn't expressed, but it was anger that came up over him trying to control me by teasing me again and just offering me to just show me his physical self, to show me this is real when I already know it's real. And it's just another tease, just like before, all the other millions of times that I've seen him, and him not speaking to me something real and true, or giving me a hug, just something to show me that he knows, which I know he knows. So I was just angry that he's trying to tease me again with just coming into my life in the physical by just showing me and waving to me and being nice to me, which he always had in the past. So how is that different from anything else? So my anger really came out about that. And just the whole conversation and trying to bring up anger from me, because I don't show it that often. I do, of course, like any other mother, I freak out now and then when your kids are being awful. So I had that moment where I had just gone outside, and I came back in, and my mental chatter started about this phone conversation, my back and forth within myself, saying, why would you think that just seeing you is okay after all this time and everything we've been through already, and not actually want to come and talk to me? It doesn't have to be a huge conversation, but just something that's real, and that you want to connect on a real level, not just seeing you again. I've seen you a million times. I've talked to you a million times. So the anger built up at that moment, and I just screamed that, is this what you want? You want me to get angry about it because you're teasing me again with nothing to offer? And so I said, fine, F you, F you, F you. Asshole, asshole, asshole. I was really pissed. And then, of course, I cry, because I always cry after I get angry. So then, I guess this happened again. I didn't do all that, but so I had a huge purge after that. I was crying like my dark night again, and I feel like the Divine Masculine was going through that energy at the same time, and that's why it came through so strongly. But it happened again a little while when I was making my dinner, and I slammed the frozen food down on the counter, and of course my gnocchi went flying all over the kitchen, and I laughed at myself, and I picked it up and said, no, I want to eat my gnocchi. So just expressing to you that, we all go through this. But the point of all of this coming through right now, and the right foot being turned under, because I'm also being shown in the read this morning that the right knee is blocked. And these joints all have to do with anger issues. And we're being shown the Divine Masculine anger, because anger is a Divine Masculine expression, whereas sadness is a Divine Feminine expression. So this anger hasn't been released. And of course, surface anger has come up. But the anger that hasn't come up is the divine feminine not allowing her anger to come up? Because the divine feminine tends to express gentleness more and sadness more. And what's coming up here is that it's not that anger is better than sadness. The point is, and this is the swords and the wands running hand in hand in alignment, like the sun and the moon, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and the hot and the cold, etc., right? That both sides need to awaken to give and take. You don't use the anger or sadness to hurt or manipulate others. But you need to heal your own anger and sadness. But just don't suppress it. And it was funny that I had said asshole. Excuse me, I don't usually curse, but that is a major purge, where you purge the greatest amounts. Where do you purge from in a natural way every day? Okay? So these are all codes that are trying to explain to you what's important and what you need to do. So then I'm drawn back to he and ha again, and I realize it's he ha, and then I'm seeing a seesaw, and I see a seesaw on one stick. That anger's on one end and sadness is on the other. So you see, one is not better than the other. They're both extreme expressions on one side of the spectrum and the other side of the expression, where the middle is 0 point, right? So just imagine that the seesaw is this whole expression, that 0 points the middle support, but I'm only seeing like a T support here, right? So what happens with a T support? It's not as strong as it could be, right, at 0 point. And then I was shown the V support. So the upside down V, of course, is the strongest support. So if you put a V under the seesaw, now it's much stronger. Now your 0 point's more grounded. You're allowing the change to come in and out, the back and forth. You're allowing the sadness. You're allowing the anger. The more extreme one is, the more extreme the other has to be in order to come back to 0 point. And this is why we're talking about temperance and balance and moderation. Because the more extreme your sadness is, the more extreme your anger must be to come out in order to balance, to truly become back at 0 point. And again, I'm stressing, the anger is not to be taken out on anyone else. This is for you to take out in your own private space. But you do need to release it, okay? You're repressing it if you're not. I was shown this the other day, too, in the emotional waters when I brought this up in my video, that we've cleared a lot of waters, but then there was like this cavern and this other section of water that was deep below the cavern that needs to come out. And this is the divine feminine anger, which is her divine masculine side, right? Is the divine feminine allowing her anger to come out so that the divine masculine's sadness can be expressed. Do you understand? So their feminine can come out more. So then you see, if you draw a seesaw, then you can see the infinity. How the farther onto the edge of the seesaw you go, the bigger and fatter the infinity roundness needs to be, because the farther you have to come back to 0 point. The farther out you go, the farther you need to come back. But again, so important to express that sadness and anger are one. They're two opposite ends of the spectrum, and 0 point is in the middle. One is not better than the other. They just are. Anger just is. Sadness just is. If you want to come back to the balance of them, between them, and you express sadness all the time, then you must express your anger. And for the divine masculine, if you're showing anger all the time, you must express your sadness, your feminine side. So again, so important, not that going from this T support to the V support is showing how important the proper support system is, whether this is friends or your actual body, but you get the idea. Okay, when you have the V support, allowing the change to come in and out, allowing the flow of the anger and the sadness, and this is just your own support system. When you're using the V system, you allow everything to flow. You go with the flow. You allow the universe to guide you. Okay, so for those, I'm stressing divine feminines who tend to be sad more than angry, you need to get angry. And even if you're not feeling it, maybe get someone to trigger you, just in a mock, a girlfriend. who you're not angry with. This is anger that needs to come out probably towards your divine masculine, but it could be family and friends as well. Whatever the anger is, allow it to come up, scream, cry, throw something. Just don't hurt others or take it out on others. Do it by yourself. Stewing in anger makes Jack vengeful, right? Releasing truth allows more light in order to get your wishes. Practice visualizing energy balls, seeing your own aura between your hands when your hands are intertwined, to inspire your fall to cry again. Then you become inspired to be creative, but sometimes that inspiration can also bring out anger. So allow the anger to come up, which may throw you down to the sadness again, and vice versa. Okay, so they're just opposite sides of the spectrum. You can't have one without the other. Okay, and blind justice is just feeling balanced, even when you're in unrequited love. So we need to come out of the sadness of not coming together at the workplace, but to come together in love, no longer needing those old attachments of the journey. When the divine feminine is over their sadness because they've now released their anger, that's when the offer comes in, an olive branch, which causes instability because the offer is not enough. Okay, so then there's more. That's the anger that I released. Okay, so there needs to be reflection, not planning, just following the white horse that you ride, trusting nature to balance family and your divine masculine or feminine within the journey. And this will, as the more balanced you get, the more offers will then come in from your divine masculine. There may be some blocks from the new moon. Maybe they're still in a divorce or whatever their situation may be. So there may be some of those blocks still there to the union coming together fully, but without burdens, because you want harmonious, permanent physical union. You don't want a union where you're going to end up fighting all the time. This is the point of staying out of union, to clear as much as possible, to get your anger out, all of these blocks, to harmonious, permanent physical union. The divine masculine will go into his feminine, and his obsession for the masculine's obsession for the divine feminine will come out, which will propel him forward. He wants to romance the divine feminine. Okay, he needs to balance the divine feminine with his karmic family. Okay, and get past the heartbreak of his wish that he's suppressed, allowing his feminine to come out, not wanting to be controlled by the karmic, and realizing that the divine feminine is nurturing and allowing, and that's what the divine masculine wants. So love offers will come. Soon the karmics will be dumped for good, even if they've been going back and forth for a while. This is the final judgment energy. Okay, you're being clear. Everyone's dumping their facade. They're being their true self, their wounds. They're being in their anger and their sadness. Just don't take it out on each other. If it does come up, go to your separate corners and let it go, and then come back at another time. Okay? This is expressing your love and reconciliation with your divine partner. Avoidance cannot be hidden anymore. The divine masculines are clearing their karmic energy, and they want to reconcile differences. Okay? Again, I'm stressing, we're being shown to clear blocks of karmic rage from being held prisoner of sex. So the divine feminines have literally, this is coming up from old templates and past lives, of course, but it's also being representative by the divine masculine controlling them through the sexual energy, because they've always been attached energetically. Okay, so we look forward to the eclipse. The divine masculine may be receiving an eclipse of a final judgment, a decision overturned. And third parties come to peace and become two. The divine masculine's been holding back his passion, so he's been suppressing that anger energy as well. So it's a back and forth energy that comes out between the two of you, so you may not always know whose energy you're actually releasing. But the divine masculine energy is taking off in a new direction, of passionate feelings expressed, and the Queen of Cups, or the divine feminine, is what he's seeing. An explosive tower moment will come up. The magician in his truth. He is now learning to block others from his life who don't resonate with him and who are no longer for his highest good. Dumping burdens, speaking up, and offering love. So I just wanted to get out this message to you. It's really important that we allow any anger to come up. You know, for the Divine Feminine, it's always been such a burden to show anger, and you need to allow this to come up. You know, scream, shout, you know, take a pillow and hit something with your pillow. Just don't hurt yourself or anyone else, but allow this to come up. That's it. Rise and be loved, guys. Take care.